Hi, I'm Kristen Ash Johnson with Body and Unity Yoga School here with Dale. I've been wanting to do this for a while, make a video for you. This is a tutorial about all of the options that you have for pranayama and mindfulness meditation practice. Because over the years, I've seen so many times that people have struggled getting their posture, and they might be doing themselves a disservice by straining or striving, by compressing the abdominals and compressing the breathing region, compressing into the diaphragm when they're trying to do breath or even mindfulness. So I'm going to go over a few postures today so that we get stability and ease, so that we have an alert posture, but a relaxed posture. We have all the support we need. We have sustainability, and our body doesn't become a distraction while we're practicing our pranayama breathing exercises, practices, or our mindfulness meditation practices. We'll start with the chair, and Dale's already in the chair in a pretty good posture, but one of the main things I want to talk about is this hip hinge right here. This angle at the hip can be problematic if it is too deep. So we're going to look at the knee and the hip level. Right now, Dale's knees are just barely below his hip level, which means that it's kind of difficult for him to shift his pelvis forward to get that natural lumbar or low back curve here. Dale, why don't you shift your pelvis forward and back a few times? So he's doing a little pelvic tilt here. Yep, shifting the pelvis forward and back. And right here, if you shift your pelvis back, this is where we're sitting on the flesh of the gluteals, where it go ahead and shift your pelvis back to demonstrate that. Tilt, yep. It flattens out the low back, so this is putting a lot of pressure in the spine here, and really that'll travel all the way up through the spine. It'll encourage that forward rounding of the spine, the forward shoulders, the forward head. Go ahead and take your forward head, forward chin. Yeah, and that'll encourage that. If we're sitting back on our gluteals and toward our tail, that's what happens. But if you shift your pelvis forward, so now the weight's going more into the upper thighs, into the sit bones, and off of the tail and the flesh of the glutes. It's going more into the thighs. So now he's getting this generous lumbar low back curve, which is the pelvis is the basis for this seat. And if we don't get the pelvis right, then nothing above it works out. It's too much strain going on up there. Now, from this nice lumbar curve, we have a little bit of a backward curve in the thoracic spine, and then another forward curve. And what we get a few times in this posture or in the cervical spine is problematically we get the forward head, which means just tucking the chin straight back, not lifting the chin up or pulling it down, but pulling your chin straight back and lift it up slightly. There we go. And keep your chin level to the ground, reaching out through the crown of your head without straining, keeping the neck soft and not really needing to strain through that. But if you take a breath in, Dale, let that lift you up and relax your shoulders. A lot of times we see in cultural photos this meditation posture with the arms way out in front of the body. This is going to bring internal rotation, compressing the chest with the shoulders. It's going to add a rounding to the upper back, and it'll put a lot of tension right up here in your shoulders. That's what we're trying to get rid of, right? So if you hang your arm down at your sides, no matter what posture you're sitting in, relax your shoulders straight down from your ears and let your shoulders roll slightly back away from the center of your chest. Then keep that elbow right where it is. Rest your palm right on your thigh, palm up or palm down, taking a mudra of your choice if you wish, a hand posture of your choice. So Dale could probably sustain this for a little while with this hip hinge, but I betcha it's going to put a little bit of tension in those hips. So what we'll do to add some sustainability for a longer sit or a longer stationary mindfulness or pranayama practice is we'll add a little bit of height in the back of the pelvis, not the whole pelvis, but in the sit bones, so that we get height from the hips down to the knees. We've just taken some of this angle out of the hip, which makes it easier for the sacrum right here, to tip very slightly forward, which helps with this lumbar curve and everything sits on top. Good job, Dale. Let's say Dale's using this and he's doing hours of practice for whatever reason, like a retreat. You can take a yoga mat and you can use this mat or any kind of cushion or pillow for a sacral support right here in the sacrum or a lumbar support. Go ahead and sit all the way back. And let's put this, first let's put it in your sacrum. So instead of having to, he's got some sacrum support right here. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So right now, he's not using muscles to tip his sacrum forward at all because the knees are below the hips and there's some support in the sacrum. Maybe you need sacrum and lumbar support, or maybe just lumbar. Now you can move back until you get that lumbar support in the low back. Maybe that works for you. You get the sacrum in place with the raising of the back of the sacrum, the hips above the knees, the ankles a little bit behind the knees or directly under. You can open your legs a little wider if that frees up your hips, or you can keep your knees right in front of your hip bones. So we have all these lovely options to give our body a break and to create this environment for a focus other than the distractions of the body. Let's use them. Let's bring in the props. Let's take some time to give ourselves a really nice seat rather than something automatic, or rather than saying, oh, I don't need any props. That's like saying, I don't need any help from my friends. All right, we're getting out of the chair now, Dale, and coming down to the floor. Most people, when they come into my yoga lesson and I say sit on the floor, this is what most people were going to get from most bodies in the United States. We're a little bit, we're in our 50s, so that might have a little bit to do with it too. We've got the sacrum is now tipping back instead of forward. We've got a flattening and a lot of pressure in the vertebral discs in the lower spine especially, but even in the upper spine as it's rounding forward. Forward head posture here, not chin down, but forward head posture usually happens. And then if Dale were to try to meditate here, he might say, well, I don't want to let my head fall down because I'm supposed to stay tall. So I say, sit up tall, and he lifts his chin. And the shoulders are rounded forward because the arm bones aren't parallel to the body. What are we going to do here to make this much more healthy and beneficial and a lot more comfortable? Well, the first thing we can do is add that height under the pelvis. And get the forward tip of the pelvis to get the knees below the hips. Beautiful. Now we have a little forward tipping pelvis, which gives us this beautiful natural curve, which takes a lot of that pressure out of the vertebral discs and the spine rising up on top through the mid-back. The shoulders rolled back a little bit, arm bones hanging parallel to the body by your sides, the weight of the arms resting on your thighs. Now Dale has taken his one heel and put it all the way into his perineum, all the way into his groin, into the center, because what that does is lets the weight roll forward. If that doesn't work for you, you might be crossing your legs a little further in front of you. And when that happens, your knees might pop up off the ground. And you can take anything. I'm using a block today, but you can take anything and put under that knee. What I would do is use something probably a little bit smaller than this so he could lean his weight forward so that the knee can still be at the level of the hip or below the hip. The higher the knees are, the harder it's going to be to get that foundation of the very slight forward tip of the pelvis. Let's say this isn't working and you feel like you need a little bit more back support. Let's try the wall. And take the cushion and put it back up against the wall. And just like we did in the chair, we can use maybe something like this pillow for a sacrum support, right at the top of the sacrum and a little bit in the lumbar curve, and having some support there. Now, Dale has support from the base of his pelvis and the back of his pelvis, and the weight shifting forward being held by the lower legs and the leg bones. And then the spine can rise gently, and he can easily prop his head right on top of his spine rather than the head falling forward or the chin tipping down too much. So how do you feel? You think you could stay there for a little while? It looks really good. We could always bring the yoga mat or into a lower back support, or we could bring something like a bolster in for a lower back support as well, and do some adjustments there until that provides some support, comfort, and stability. Anything to add to that?
No,
Yeah?
Very comfortable.
Awesome. All right. All these things said, if knees don't bend this way, if ankles don't like this posture, we use a chair. Yeah? And if the chair doesn't work because maybe there's too much going on in the neck and the shoulders, we can lie down. Because we need to be flexible. That's what these practices are all about. It's about the flow. So we can't be too pedantic about the have tos and the shoulds and the supposed tos. Let's let our practice meet us where we are daily. If I'm having a lot of stress or a headache one day, I might not practice in a seated position. I'm going to practice lying down. And you can lie down, Dale. If you're practicing lying down, I highly recommend a neck support. Come on back. This neck roll is going to support the cervical curve. Probably the reason you lay down in the first place is because there's stuff going on in your neck and shoulders. And this neck roll is going to support the cervical curve of your neck so that your muscles now alongside supporting that area of your spine can all relax. Because they say, oh, we don't have to hold the bones in place now because we have some support here holding the bones in place. And here you can just tip your head side to side. You might pull your head away from your shoulders a little bit and then sit it back down and really let your head relax. If you need a little bit of height for your head, that's what your body needs. But if you can allow your head to go as close to the level of your shoulders as possible, that's really helpful. Now, as these shoulders roll out and we get this space through the collarbones, then it's helpful to externally rotate a little bit the upper arm bones and move them slightly away from the body. That will take the shoulders down toward the earth and let the shoulder blades come around underneath the back of the rib cage. It's kind of like you've got these nice little hands back under there. But guess what? Gravity holds everything in place. So now all of those muscles can relax, and it can be a passive, restorative place for you to do your belly breath. Breathing into my hand, exhaling, releasing out. Knees bent, butterfly posture. Yeah, knees together, butterfly posture, or knees together, feet wide, or legs outstretched with the feet apart. You've got lots of choices there. You could take a blanket under your pelvis, at the base of your pelvis, at the top of your pelvis, under your low back. You have that option as well. Lots of options here. The reason I made this video is I need you to know all the options. And when you come to practice pranayama and mindful meditation with me, I want you to be self-empowered to create that most beneficial, most healthy, neutral spine with stability and ease, with a strong back and a supported neutral spine, with an open front so we have lots of space to move energy and lots of space to take in and let out breath. And we can let this practice meet us where we are and benefit us to the maximum for our practice. And thanks for joining us today. We teach mindfulness, meditation, and pranayama And if you haven't been to one of our courses just yet, joined us for the Compassionate Connection Yoga courses. We hope that you will soon. Take care.